Check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Good morning. Hey, Whiskey Me, how that volume sound? How the theme song? I'm playing it from my desktop. Good morning, K Slaughter 84. Tell me how that sounded. How did that theme music? That didn't sound warbly, or when I talked over it, did it sound warbly? What up? We're still working out the kinks. Enjoying my Rodecaster Pro. Excited about using it. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica. I said, guess what? I'll be right back because guess what? I don't have my glasses. Hold on 1 second. Good morning. Now I'm out of focus. Good morning. Get in focus, Mika. Get in focus. Okay. Good morning. Starting off without my glasses. I'm calling Jessica Whiskey Jessica. How y'all doing? All right. Let me see. So it's like, all right, there we go. All right, y'all. Grassroots Media. All right. Good morning. Welcome back again. Using new technology, new hardware. What up? This just then. Using new technology today. So we're going to try to work it out. We're going to figure out what we're doing. Oh my goodness. What? I didn't. Oh, it's today. It's today. I get my braces right after today, so I got a dip like at 10. So, but thank you. No, my orthodontist is usually legit, but I can't wait to just really start seeing some of the getting to the hard work where it really starts to hurt. But nah, it's all good. I guess I'm used to it. This is my third rodeo with braces. I got the most. My teeth have memory, as my old orthodontist said. My teeth have an excellent memory. They go right back. When I was little, y'all, I had I was Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I had a big gap. Me and my mom had this beautiful, it works for her. My mom has this really big gap. I had a big gap. I didn't like it on me. Love it on my mama. Left Twix looks great. So this is my third rodeo with braces, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I am not insecure at all about it. I just want the spaces going. But anyway, today we're going to talk about, shout out to B-Man, aka Tom. I love Tom because when Tom is working whatnot, he's working off 17 or something. He's always like, yo, you want to have lunch? Hey, what you doing? What's going on? That's not how he sounds. So Tom and I, we went to go to Boxcar Betty's yesterday for lunch, and in the middle of a darn monsoon. So yeah, we're running out of all days when my car is not parked close to where I like close to my building. It's like parked. My car is parked all the way East Jablip of the parking lot. So it's raining cats and dogs. I'm just running. It's so fun. But we got to box. Hey B-Man, that's your voice. He sounds way more masculine, way deeper tones. A fellow Jersey native. But nah, so we go to Boxcar Betty's, and he puts me on game. He's like, did you read this article from Washington Post? I'm like, no, I didn't. And he was like, oh, I thought you did. And it's from September 8th. Let me go switch it up real quick, because we will be doing a local news roundup, but we're going to get into this story. So this was published. This is called titled Black people are about to be swept aside for a South Carolina freeway again, right? In a planned highway widening project, 94% of displaced residents live in communities most consisting of Black and brown people. Washington Post, and I want to shout out Jessica as well, because my subscription helps me get around the paywall so I can read this, and shout out to you for, you know, helping a sister out. But also shout out again to Tom. So we're going to read this together. We're going to read this together. We're going to visit some of the linked content. I think that they did an amazing job with the aerial photos that you see here. It's really worth it. Worth the read if you can get around the paywall. You can still access the Washington Post through the library, but it's just like the New York Times. It's a bit tricky, depending on what kind of card you got and all that. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And shout out to Damon Fordham. One of the names, just one of the names. They talked to a historian right here. I believe that's historian Kevin Cruz, Princeton. He's in here, but locally, Damon Fordham. There's some local names that we're all going to recognize. Some neighbors. Look at Ruth May. I don't know Ruth May, but I love that name. And there's just so many beautiful photographs. And beautiful, heartbreaking story, a lot there, right? And so as we continue to talk about development in this area, as we continue to talk about, you know, policies that there's ways to plan. Look, a lot of this stuff, a lot of it feels inevitable, but what I want to invite people to do or to imagine is that it's not necessarily inevitable. There are ways to plan with the conscious. There are ways to plan, you know, trying to make the best decisions. And as like 526, y'all seen it. If you live in Charleston, you've seen the side, the road, the signs on the side of the road, alerting you to, here you go right here, alerting you to like, you know, the West I-526, West I-526, Interstate 526. You've seen the signs letting you know that there's going to be an action. The signs kind of leave some details. I understand they probably are multi-purpose use signs that they have to erect and have to kind of be more vague, but, you know, really that's just what they have to do. I'm sure there were probably postings in print media as well, alerting folks to this decision making, but there really hasn't been, to my knowledge, and keep me honest in the chat, if you live here locally and you consume local news, have you heard people here locally report on how the plans for this road widening is going to disproportionately impact Black people? Is that conversation being had? Are we seeing that in the media? This might be one of my blind spots because I kind of not focus on things I want to focus on, but there are some things that kind of get on my radar, and I'm surprised that this didn't, because this is part of Climate and Environment Washington Post reporting. And, you know, our work with Friends of Gadsden Creek. I hold a leadership position with Friends of Gadsden Creek. So some of this stuff just, I don't know, maybe it's just too much, and it just like I can't catch it all. But it seems like it's just a deluge of information, a deluge of news around displacement, development, and things of that nature. And the seawall, like I really want to dedicate a live stream to the seawall and why it's a really it's not a project that's actually going to meet the need. That's the responsible way of framing it. The spicy way that I would say is like the wall ain't gonna do shit, right? Like the wall ain't gonna stop shit, right? You know, and shout out to the homie Cyrus Buffum. I'm going to continue to do my research on that. Sound like Kyrie Irving, but I'm going to continue to talk to my friends who are engineers, who work in climate science, who work in you know, in all types of areas where this seawall and the proposed plans around the seawall. People who have some pretty educated insight, right? Noah, you dropped in the chat. Oh, let's go. I took a class or two. Dr. Fordham, yeah. So we're gonna get into it. Want to do a local news roundup? Oh wait, Whiskey Neat, Whiskey Neat. I got your DM. Whiskey Neat. I got your DM. So you were right. That line was hilarious. So Whiskey Neat dropped I hope you don't mind me saying this, like so many people, Dave Chappelle, so many people, Whiskey Neat watched Dave Chappelle's latest Netflix special that just dropped. NPR didn't like it. And I get why. Yeah, like Dave Chappelle, I love hard-hitting comedy. I don't believe in censorship. I think it's a slippery slope. And I don't think that Dave Chappelle, oh my God, he's just so like, I feel like he's just like, he won't let go of, I want to say what I want. I feel like he's, is he bold? Yeah, I guess you can argue. Is he fearless? Maybe. I don't know. I think he enjoys male privilege. But one thing about him, while I think he says things and confronts things that a lot of people won't do, one thing about him though, like, he's just adamant that I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but it's not always funny. That's my biggest objection. It's not funny. It's not funny. The women's march thing was funny. The women's march thing was funny. That line was funny because it echoed this sentiment. Dead on. You were right. 100% Whiskey Neat. You were on point. Right. Somebody put, you meant Joe Riley? B-Man, it's a little lag. I got you though. So the women's march line was funny. There was a couple funny lines, but like I don't care. Like, dude, you're not funny about the Me Too movement. You're not funny. Like, you're trying to wrap criticism of how like the patriarchy is kind of being, like, how people are really starting to have these really interesting conversations about patriarchal forces in entertainment. And like, you really are trying to be funny about it. And while the Me Too movement is problematic, celebrities coming out in black dresses is not going to change anything. But dude, say something funny about it other than you don't like it because it's holding your friend Louis C.K. wants to whip his dick out in front of his female staff, and you want him to back in his place of prominence where he was. Like, just say that. Like, I want my friends to be able to say what they want, abuse their privilege. Like, it's just not funny. Like, if you're gonna come at Me Too, make it fucking funny. If you're gonna come at whitewash feminist movement, make it funny. It wasn't funny to me. Maybe it was funny to other people, but it wasn't. I think because he's like to me he's like a thawed out caveman that I think he's a broke clock. He's right twice a day. And I think he's a thought out caveman. And I think people see this reanimated, Neanderthal say things reminiscent of the 90s. And I think it's like, I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know. That's just my take. That's just me. But I'm grateful. Please don't miss me. I'm not like it triggered or nothing like that. I struggle with Dave Chappelle because I was waiting for him to be funny. I was waiting. I'm like, come on, Dave. Come on, bring it. Like, this ain't funny. This ain't funny. That's just my take. All right. But to that point, Whiskey Neat, you made me laugh this morning because there was some funny things in there. But I'm going to actually play this clip because I got unfollowed. I don't know if y'all saw my follower count on IG went down like 100 by 100 people. That's not, you know what I mean? That means I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? I probably pissed off some white women, as I want to do. I probably pissed off some local businesses who thought I was really wholesome, or just like, I just don't get Mika. I mean, I want to like her, but like, she's just so, I know, I can only imagine. This is my hypothetical. What's up, April? Thank you so much. Oh no, I got it. Oh, Josh on speed dial. I got the number right here. I got it, but I gotta be careful. I word on the street, Josh. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I gotta see how much Josh wanna come on a live stream. I know Josh likes to keep a low profile. Let me just say it like that. Well, I'm in community. I used to work with Josh over at Local Works, work in the same space, not work with him. And I've got friends who work with him through FOGC. So thank you, April. Appreciate it. Yeah. Josh is the homie. So my follower count went down. Yay, celebrate. Good morning, Brianne. What's up, rugby? Follow count went down. Anytime I talk about Women's March, that's what tends to happen, right? And so, you know, I can only imagine what the conversations are in some neoliberal spaces, where I think they think that activism or activist messaging needs to be something that's easy to digest, or maybe I just missed the mark sometime and I just piss you off, and that could be true too, but more often than not, it's just like people really love their activism in like a t-shirt like form that's like not unoffensive. What's up, Paul? Thank you, Paul. So anyway, Whiskey Neat inspired me to play this because Whiskey Neat, you gave me permission because I've been trying to wedge this into my live stream. I was like, when can I play this Bill Burr? And y'all probably seen it. Remember last year, Bill Burr was on SNL, and his monologue was like crickets. It was like, I want to play crickets, but I don't know if y'all can hear it. Let me see. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's crickets. It's the cricket sound effect. I don't know if you can hear it, but like when he said it, it was kind of like cricket. So switching from Dave Chappelle, who I was like, dude, I don't know. I think Dave Chappelle shot his load. I think it's empty. I think he shot his load. I think it's okay. You know, you had your moment. You did your thing. Bill Burr, however, is fucking hilarious. This is the kind of comedy. If you want to say, well, Mika, what's your sense of humor? Inside of me is I already told y'all that. If you've been following me for a long time, y'all know that I got a inner white boy in me. He's a problematic 15-year-old white boy who listens to way too much hip hop and says the N-word when he shouldn't say it. Right? I got that inner, and what I call him, I used to call him Chad. I think I did, but now that Chad is like problematic and Karen is adjacent, I'm not gonna call him Chad. I'm gonna call him something else. Y'all give him a name. Y'all give him a name. You heard it, Joni? You can hear it. Oh, I'm gonna read your comment, Whiskey Neat, in a second. But yeah, so my sense of humor is it's sophomore. It's bad. You could see some of the chats in group text in my fantasy football league. You'd be like, is that Mika? Oh, all right. But let me go. Yeah, I wanted to play a comedian that's actually married to a black woman and might love a black woman. So this was a little bit more on point. When I talk about Women's March, the culture, again, making distinctions between my girl, Erica Coakley, and her brilliant leadership and her voice, making a distinction between her leadership and what Women's March tends to attract and bring out and why I could not be in that space. This encapsulates it for me. That'll wake you up. No, but like that to me, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's married to a black woman. I don't know. But no, the dude is nuts. He is nuts. He's great. I think he's funny. I think he's like, yeah. What is he doing? What is he doing?
Yeah, listen. That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
That's bars. That's bars. I mean, so I don't mind if the truth hits her hard. I don't mind. And there's so many dope comics, like so many, like of all races and everything. Like there's so many dope comics that are doing that are doing things with comedy that are different, that make you think, that make you like, oh shit. I love comedy that kind of hits you, right? There's so many amazing, y'all can, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so many. HBO has all these specials. Like during quarantine, during like the pandemic, I would watch a few. But there's Muslim American comics that are amazing. I think my brother just went out in Chicago. Just went out to see what's the dude, the Minaj dude. Went out to see him. I like him a lot. There's a bunch of really like weird, awkward, funny comics that I'm kind of excited about. I'm good on Seinfeld. I'm good on Dave Chappelle. Like that's how I feel. Like if I really want to enjoy Dave Chappelle, I'm gonna watch his old show because back in college, brings back memories. Or I'm gonna watch Seinfeld. I'm gonna watch, I don't want to hear like dudes that was hot in the '90s complain about how you can't punch down no more. Like it's just corny. Just like it was just. Anyway, that's me. Right, Paper Tiger. Okay. What's Paper Tiger? Hold up. Let me just. We're gonna do local news roundup. Just want to wake y'all up. Paper Tiger. What was that? Comedy? Was it this? Was it this right here? A movie, or was it like? Oh yeah. And that one, and him too. Yeah, that one too. I got you. All right, so let's go ahead and let me get focused. Front page of the Post and Courier. Thank y'all so much for indulging me. Rami is really good. Is it Rami or Rami? I know what you're talking about though. Really, really good. God, I'm getting old. I don't pronounce shit right. All right. Bonnie Hall Plantation. Okay. Murdaugh bullshit. This is the ghetto ass family. I tell you that. It's a ghetto ass. Oh, okay. I got you. Thank you, Jessica. I got you. All right. Teen living with chronic pain finds freedom in swimming. That's what's up. Go ahead, Connor. Oh, and Joni. Yes. My inner 15-year-old white boy who listens to way too much hip hop and says the N-word when he shouldn't will henceforth be named Gunner. My inner white boy. That is my sense of humor. It's very sophomoric, very immature, problematic. Right? Likes all the black stuff. Mom, get out of my room, Mom. I can listen to whatever I want in here, Mom. All right, $56 million on the way for vulnerable students, federal funds to help homeless, disabled. South Carolina, let me read this real quick. South Carolina school districts, let me pop that up. South Carolina school districts will have access to $56 million in federal funding to serve vulnerable student populations in the coming weeks. The South Carolina Department of Education announced the new pot of federal COVID-19 funds on October 5th. That was yesterday. The money comes from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act and can be used to help students who have disabilities or experiencing homelessness. That's what's up. School district, hopefully they'll be allocated appropriately. I'll leave it to Joy and Honor and all them and y'all, Jessica, whomever has children. What's up with the new follower? I'll leave it to y'all to tell me what's up with that. So school districts will have access to the money in the next few weeks. Department spokesman Ryan Brown said the money is in addition to the $3.3 billion that the state has received from federal government in response to the pandemic. All right, that's cool. Let's see. What's this? Oh, okay, Prison Ryan. Let me read this separately, y'all, because the coverage around our incarcerated population, the coverage around our state jails and whatnot. Actually, I'm going to work it into a live stream about my experiences. Like Scarlett Wilson, I don't know if I've ever told you about this exhibition that took place at the Halsey. Problematic as fuck. Asian artists. I found it, like I went through some old boxes or something when I first moved into this apartment, and so I found the programs and the information from this event that I was invited to, and it was so problematic, right? And so I want to go back and revisit that, because to my left was Scarlett Wilson chomping on gum and leaving early. And it was a conversation about the criminal justice system in South Carolina and the jails and whatnot. And he had like wardens around the table and a lot of like establishment people in criminal justice. And it was very problematic. And it was like one of those, think about those like old movies that have like the whodunit, like the game Clue maybe. Like, it felt like that. It felt performative. It literally had performance art that just spontaneously erupted. It was really problematic because we're talking about incarcerated populations. I'm saying all that to say that I want to have this larger conversation when I talk about how some of these conversations and reporting around incarcerated populations here are missing the mark. So I want to kind of revisit it and use that experience, that story, and bring y'all into how conversations are had, here regarding the incarcerated. All right. So that's the front page of the Post and Courier. Murdaugh being ghetto, the Murdaugh family being ghetto, stealing millions of dollars, of avoiding or evading justice. That's typically how it goes, right? All right, so boom, we'll close that out. We're going to get to some local news around COVID. And yeah, unfortunately, we're going to talk about the Palmetto Rose Bearers again, because while reporting on the friction, while reporting on confrontations between these young boys and these other vendors, these licensed vendors, we love covering, we meaning the media, the Charleston media, mainstream, we love covering the confrontations. We don't ever, investigate what some remedies could look like, or what real engagement with the community about facilitating. And it's not, we'll get to that, but, we're gonna unfortunately watch the clip from News 2. I'm saying unfortunately because I just think there's no compassion for these young people. Yes, they should not be out there hitting nobody. No, they shouldn't be out there. I agree with that. Right? There's no excuse for them doing some of the things they're doing. But I'm more interested on how they got to that point, because they didn't just like wake up and say, I'm gonna go and be an asshole to some white guy. These kids are not doing that. Right? These are not gangs, because that's going to be the next word that enters the lexicon, is that it's gangs of rose peddlers, if that hasn't already been introduced into the lexicon, right? So we're going to have a different conversation, because I think that when we talk about criminal justice, when we talk about kids, at-risk populations, or kids that are on the brink of making contact with criminal justice, what we can't do is create an argument that the police can use and weaponize against black youth and start policing black bodies. We can't do that. And we can't have the incident like we did a few years ago where tourists felt empowered to grab and wrestle and apprehend a young black boy because the police is chasing him through the market for selling roses. We can't keep facilitating. We can't keep having arguments or conversations that frame it that way, good versus bad. I'm just not interested in your lazy analysis as to why this is happening. And I've yet to see anyone really engage, community in any meaningful way. I've yet to see it. You want to regulate. You want them to go through these classes. You want to be able to surveil their families and have their parents take off work to come and sit through a training thing and entrepreneurship. You want all this stuff, but you don't really actually want to create certain services and certain programs where these kids can probably have an outlet. Charleston is increasingly hostile to not just children, growing children, but it's increasingly hostile to anybody, to a lot of people who are not deemed as important. And so we're not going to have this conversation where we oversimplify it and say bad kid deserves jail. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I've been in too many schools. I've been in too many jails to where I'm going to do that. I've taught too many kids. I've hemmed up kids in college. I've had some bad kids. I've had it all. All right, Jessica, real quick. I didn't read the chat earlier like I said I was. Going back up. Whiskey Neat says, your take on Dave Chappelle. Going back up to the Dave Chappelle thing. Your take on Dave Chappelle the last few years is he switches in his act from funny as fuck to raw to using his platform to address some deeply rooted stuff. Absolutely. It is art. And as you, Mika, always share, how we interpret art is on each of us. Absolutely. And I'm like rooting for Dave Chappelle, and I enjoy. There's some things like I enjoyed his Saturday Night Live appearance. I enjoyed it. I just think sometimes he just goes like, I'm like, is this really funny or is it just like jarring? I don't know. Then Jessica, you responded like you love seeing him live. He just chain smokes and shoots shit for hours. Yeah, when the mood strikes him. I heard when he was in Miami recently, I heard like he was like a little too inebriated and he was just working out the material, right, for hours, just chain smoking and drinking, right? So yeah, when the mood strikes him. I don't always agree with him, but I do appreciate him. Now that part, Jessica and Whiskey Knee, y'all both on the same wavelength. We need it. It really is less like, oh, he offended me. Oh, he's talking about feminism, calling them a frumpy dyke. it's just not funny. I just don't think that's funny. That's all. Like, you say something like, yeah, thank you for that. I wanted to go back and read your statements. And then Jessica, pertaining to the news that we just covered, I guess. Some in Somerville, you dropped this in the chat. Some in Somerville, some rose peddlers okay, I stop in Azalea Square when they come by, but it's been a while since you've seen them in Somerville. Hope they weren't run off. I know. Yeah, we gotta figure a way to kind of, both can exist, but what you're really seeing, y'all, and y'all know this, you're seeing the sanctioned vendor class being pitted against these young. This young faction who is they're young, they're impetuous, they can be honorary, all that, right? They're young, they're kids, right? So, but you're seeing basically the city, and that's why they erected those signs a few years ago and they had to bring them shits down. You're seeing the city wants sanctioned vendors, and they don't want any type of that's why you've got the mobile vendors going up against so much competition too. There's a certain sect of entrepreneurship, of whatever. There's a certain sector of tourism. There's a certain type of tourism that the city wants to sanction and have and lift up as like, this is the standard, versus this unwieldy, unregulated aspect of tourism culture here, which is probably more authentic. You can argue is probably more authentic. And you're seeing also this tendency of like the Black older artisans who are amazing crafts people. You're seeing them also start to have this very anti-Black analysis aimed directly at these kids. Again, not taking away that these people might have been harmed by some of this behavior, but there's something there. There's a chasm. There's some kind of friction there that's being stoked by law enforcement in our city, and that's just my belief. What up, Rugby? You said sanction vendors, right? Is an extension of controlling the tourism narrative, right? And it's right. They want to regulate this to down to the last blade of sweetgrass, and you know, it's like I said, I think that sweetgrass artistry, the really intricate ones, right? We're not talking about the young boys and girls who sell the roses, but we're talking about the basket weavers and those who make the really like ornate, very, very just amazing. That to me shouldn't just be out in some open air. I think it looks antiquated, and I also think that it positions that art form in a way that doesn't get the respect it deserves. This is an art that's not being passed down in the way it once was, and so it's something that's at risk. I talked about in my Instagram stories that sweetgrass is becoming increasingly inaccessible, and it's behind gated communities. Shout out to my friend Brian Walter. Shout out to Jennifer Singleton, especially her, who lifted it up in a recent post about how she's sweetgrass is really hard to find, and how she gets in the car and goes to other states, right, and has secret spots that she goes to harvest the sweetgrass because it's becoming harder to get it here locally. And so you've got climate change and development creating barriers to this artistry. What does this have to do with anything, Mika? My point is that there are very real forces that threaten tourism, and I feel like there's a larger conversation to have other than outside of just friction with these young kids who are being kids. And I also think that there's no one really trying to solve that problem. They really just want to document the friction. And I think it's irresponsible of our news media, both WCIV and WCBD. I think it's irresponsible to just talk about the friction and not go further about the history and about how things once were, about what the youth programs look like in the 90s when I was here. What did more youth programs and more things on the actual peninsula? I know that somebody at the Post and Courier tried to correct me in saying that there's not enough parks and rec stuff for kids or recreation. Yeah, you can point to the recreational sports programs that exist, but you know good and goddamn well there were certain culturally specific events and activities that no longer exist in Charleston or on the peninsula that once existed, that I went to, right? I'm not just a come here with a bad attitude. I went to high school here 3 years, went to summer school at Burke with no fucking AC, the lights off. You know what I mean? Sweating my ass off trying to relearn algebra, right? In a shitty situation. I understand what we used to be here, right? I got cousins here. I took my nieces to things when I was younger, right? So, I'm just trying to like say that there were things here, even in my little brief time, there were things here. Yeah. Good morning, Anna Marks. How you doing? All right, let's get to it. Let me stop bloviating. We're gonna play it, but let me just play the. Let's play this. Come on, internet. Come on, internet.
All right, let's get to the latest now on the coronavirus here in South Carolina. A decision allowing schools here to have mask mandates will remain in place at least for a little while longer after a procedural rule threw that case back into the lower court. Now, the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals announced today that it would not take up Governor Henry McMaster and Attorney General Alan Wilson's request to stop a U.S. District Court judge's order from last week. But the judges didn't rule on the merits of the case. Instead, they said McMaster and Wilson should have asked a lower court judge to reconsider the decision before bringing the case to them on September 28th. U.S. District Court Judge Mary Geiger Lewis issued a temporary restraining order barring that proviso that we have talked about so much from being enforced. That proviso, of course, passed in June along with the budget, and it prohibits any state-funded school to enforce mask mandates inside the school, basically saying you can't use state money to enforce a mask mandate. Now, the Columbia City Council has extended the city's emergency mask order for another 30 days as the town continues to work through a high rate of COVID-19 spread. The council approved that measure during their regularly scheduled meeting today. The ordinance first approved back on September 8th was set to expire this week. The mask ordinance requires people to wear masks in most public spaces. According to the ordinance, individuals who are caught violating this mandate could be fined up to $100. So for more information on specifically what this means, if you live in the city of Columbia and you want to figure out what this means, check out this coverage at WLTX.com.
All right. So if you're visiting Columbia anytime soon, stay, let me see. Wait, hold up. What was she wearing? Hold up.
All right, let's get to the latest.
Okay. I totally missed it. Shut up, Jessica. Oh, God. Oh. The strings on the mask. I didn't see it. All right. I thought I had something about the coronavirus because I think the numbers were like still concerning, and but we're gonna play this. Just trying out something new. All right. Ooh.
Informing each.
All right.
Last month, the federal government began informing each state there is a national shortage of monoclonal antibodies. DHEC reported last week that South Carolina received just shy of 4,500 doses. It reports facilities across the state have orders for 13,000 doses pending. DHEC says it's determining allocations based on the amount the state will receive, utilization rates, and access. Many local hospitals have reported they currently have sufficient supply, and Prisma Health says it is following the National Institute of Health's guidance for rationing those doses.
Okay.
Their specific interest was, or recommendation was, to focus on the treatment instead of focusing on the post-exposure prophylaxis. And far as those being treated, focus on the unvaccinated or those that have been vaccinated who may not have got a good immune response, such as those that are severely immunocompromised.
And tonight,
okay, so those are the priority. The people probably going to get who should be eligible or should be getting the I always say it wrong. I got to read it. Getting that antibody treatment, monoclonal treatment. All right. This is why I want to play this just because it's local reporting on the debt ceiling. And then, you know what? I'm going to hop over real quick to, I think, CBS this morning. I'm going to open up YouTube TV real quick and play just the opening about some of this. I just think it's important to lift up what's going on. Oh, here it is real quick. All right. So we'll stay with COVID. This, and then the debt ceiling, and then CBS News, and then our main topic.
The number of children being admitted to the hospital with COVID-19 in Charleston is going up.
That's right. That's according to experts at the Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital. They say 40% of all their COVID admissions have occurred in the last 2 months.
This is Katie Augustine, heard from 2 pediatric doctors who say more cases of COVID means more children in need of intense treatment.
A vulnerable population being impacted by the Delta variant. Children across the low country being admitted to MUSC at an alarming rate as doctors say the Delta strain is highly contagious and can cause more severe illness.
I know we're all ready to go back to normal, whatever that means, but we can't.
The impacts of the latest COVID surge being felt at the Shawn Jenkins Children's Hospital.
We've not only seen a surge in the acuity or the severity of illness, but also in the volume of kids needing hospitalization.
A large portion of COVID cases at MUSC Children's recorded in August and September.
Children that are hospitalized with COVID from March 2020 through the end of September 2021, 40%. We're just in those 2 months.
And more kids needing intense treatment.
We have seen more kids requiring ventilation, more kids requiring ECMO.
11 children put on ventilators in the last 2 months, and 5 children needing a life-saving machine called ECMO. Cases of multi-system inflammation.
So just remember this as City Council tries to create another narrative or bring Dr. Sweat back instead of bringing that back, the dude that was bringing the heat from Roper. Just remember that when they make an argument, or I mean, right now they're at a stalemate. They're choosing not to do anything and all this craziness, but just waiting for the numbers to go down. But just remember this right here. And to me, one kid in ICU, one pediatric, case of COVID or pediatric ICU case is too many. Just remember that.
Inflammatory syndrome in children, Miss C, also high, most in healthy children.
Too, Jessica.
Just in September, 25% of our cases occurred in that month alone.
These numbers show kids are not out of the woods when it comes to COVID-19. Both doctors say the safety of children is in the hands and arms of vaccinated adults.
Yes, Noah.
And that every child is someone's child.
Or I've heard people say, oh, well, only 20 in the state have died. These are people's children.
In Charleston, I'm Katie Augustine. Count on 2.
Yeah, we're in some real weird. We're just in this uncharted territory of really weirdness. Oh, just 20 kids. And like I said, why is death the only why is, first of all, that 20 is one is too many when it's avoidable. But why is death the only metric they're looking at? Why aren't you looking at how, even if the kids get out of ICU, if they get out of hospitalization, right? What long-term effects could this virus have, on them? I think that's important to keep up with. Shit. You know what? I'm not gonna play the Rose Peddler story. It just go. I can't watch it twice. I'm just not gonna do it. Let's watch this WLTX story on Congress and the debt ceiling.
President Biden hit the road today to promote his domestic policy.
Y'all, is my signal okay? Let me know if my signal's okay over on your side. Are y'all getting
agenda as the country continues?
Tell me if y'all, because everything looks good over here, but let me know if I'm dropping frames, which means that it skips. It looks like it's skipping or whatever. Drop it in the chat. Drop thumbs up if everything's Gucci. Thank you, Jessica.
To move closer to defaulting on our national debt. Here's Natalie Brand.
Republicans and Democrats are bracing for another showdown over the nation's debt ceiling.
I implore them one more time not to play Russian roulette with the American economy.
Fuck off.
The clock is ticking for Congress to reach a deal on the debt limit as the Treasury Department warns it.
Making it fucking rain over wealthy corporations and businesses, the rich during the Trump administration. Like, making it fucking rain. You got the fucking gall. And that's the thing about politics that's so infuriating, and the elected officials that we have that been in office so long, they get up there and literally lie to our fucking faces. And and they're able to just kind of move with impunity like that. Like, ain't nothing gonna happen to them. Like, you lying. Like, just shut the fuck up. And that's all they do is obstruct. That's all they do is obstruct. And now this Cinema chick, Cinema, especially in Manchin, are worse. Obstructing within the party. My bad. Let me just play it.
Will run out of funding in less than 2 weeks, potentially leaving the country unable to pay its bills.
We could prevent a catastrophic default with a simple majority vote tomorrow. If Republicans would just get out of the damn way, we could get this all done.
On Wednesday, the Senate will take up a House-passed measure to suspend the debt ceiling through December of next year.
God, that money.
Republicans have signaled they intend to block it.
They need to use reconciliation. Republicans are not going to be a part of their massive spending and tax spree.
While the spending standoff continues on Capitol Hill, President Biden traveled to Michigan Tuesday to promote his multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure and social policy proposals to the public.
The whole thing about this debt limit thing, there's nothing to do with money spent in the future. It's all money that's spent in the past.
Moderate Democrats like West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin have pushed back against the price tag of the White House's spending plan. But Manchin says the debt ceiling is non-negotiable.
Do what you have to do, but we cannot, and I want people to know, we will not let this country default.
Late Tuesday, the credit ratings agency Moody's expressed confidence that the debt ceiling will get raised on time.
It will. It will. Thank you. Yeah, check out that Rose Peddler stories later. I want to come with a different perspective on that. And I actually want to look at, as I often do, look at other tourist areas. Going back to the boys real quick, the boys and girls that create the road. I'm going to go back to look at some other places, some other grassroots work around, like, making room and creating spaces. Look, I mean, New York might be the worst. I don't know. Because like a blue state, whatever, right? It might not be the best comparison. Maybe I need to look at a southern tourist city that embraces like peddler culture. But like, y'all been in New York. Some of y'all been in New York. Y'all been on the subway system, right? All right, y'all been doing like MTA, whatever. Y'all see all them people that's selling fucking everything from fucking mangoes to nutcrackers and shit on trains, in the terminals, at stations. Like, vendor culture is so like not. Like, unregulated. Like, what about the street performers, the subway performers? You see everything. I seen everything from a stripper pole to a cellist, in a subway situation. And it's like, and how aggressive the transit police are, right? But like, at some point, just let these kids do what they like. Have a welcoming space for like free form type of vendors. Like, it's not gonna hurt anybody, but when you continue to just police these kids in these ways, like, let it be, unless they're like doing something. And again, I think that the way they're being aggressed is causing them to act out. I don't believe that kids just wake up in the morning like, I want to be an anarchist. Yes, some do, but like, no, I think it's a deeper issue. No, it just makes me mad. This whole, let's cover the kids being bad. Okay, let's cover government being bad too. When we keep that smoke for Mayor Riley. Or developer Riley and developer Tecklenburg, keep that smoke for them too. You don't never see that shit unless it's some like crazy over the top scandal. Again, the main topic of today we're gonna get through is this story right here. Black people are being swept aside by South Carolina Freeway again. But I wanted to bring the infrastructure talks and certain legislation, the debt ceiling. I wanted to just have a conversation, or at least broach that real quick, and then we're gonna hop into it. For those who are like frustrated, like, get to it. I'm getting to it. Hey, what up, Kia? Jessica, you said that geriatric turtle. Y'all know who she's talking about. Why does the Lord never take the? I'm telling you. All right, Sean McCoy. Why is he there? Let's do that. Close that out. Let's see. I tried to rewind it before I came on. Let's see. Come on. Don't be stingy.
Get a mattress you'll love for less. For a limited time, Ashley Sleep mattresses start at just $199. Hurry in for better sleep and...
Wait a minute. This is the beginning? Yeah, here we go. This is the beginning.
Explicitly, I feel bad when I use Instagram, and yet I can't stop.
After stunning whistleblower testimony, Mark Zuckerberg breaks his silence. His company is accused of putting profit before safety.
If one teen on Instagram is having a bad experience, we need...
You know it does this. When I play it back on here, it's coming back.
to do better.
The Department of Justice is reviewing their decision not to prosecute 2 agents who investigated USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar. Today, Democrats say they'll try for a 3rd time.
Real quick, is that music warbly? Are y'all hearing it back really warbly? Because it feels like when I play music and it's loud, it's warbly. Thumbs down if it's warbly. Just so I know for future, because Jared not going to fix this. But I listened back to some of the shows yesterday. Anything with music was really, yeah. It's not bad on this video. Yeah. Still, I'm gonna get past all the music. God. I'm gonna get past the music. This dude was funny. He won lottery. He said he's gonna buy like 5 kilos of cocaine. All right, here we go. Good morning. It's glitchy. Yeah, all right. So it's the music. Gotcha. All right, as I play without music in the back, we're gonna get through it, y'all. Thank you so much for your patience. As I play it with just Tony DeCoble with just dialogue, give me another thumbs up if it sounds better.
Mark Zuckerberg is strongly defending the company he co-founded after stunning allegations from a former employee. In congressional testimony, whistleblower Frances Haugen said Facebook chooses profit over public safety. She shared thousands of internal documents and also spoke with 60 Minutes.
I'm going to watch a little bit of this opening.
Denying claims the platform is designed to reward anger and division. Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill for us. Nicole, good morning to you. There's a long note from Mark last night. What else is he saying?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. And Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the accusations against his company.
So just so you know, as I work through using the new interface, we're going to go back and kind of try to change some of the volume settings, but there's interference whenever there's like loud music and dialogue. So like yesterday I watched back when we were watching the kids on Hulu, that was really like, right? So again, bear with me. We're going to watch a little bit of this opening, just general news in general. So just bear with it. And then we're going to hop into the main topic today. That's the goal. I know I'm communicating a lot. I just feel like it's important.
Are not true and don't make sense. And while he disputes the whistleblower's accusations, he says that he does agree Congress should update internet regulations.
Almost no one outside of Facebook knows what happens inside of Facebook.
In her first congressional testimony since blowing the whistle on Facebook, ex-employee Frances Haugen detailed what she described was a culture of secrecy and complacency that put profits over safety.
Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
And she pinned the blame squarely on her former boss, Mark Zuckerberg.
In the end, the buck stops with Mark. There is no one currently holding Mark accountable but himself.
The buck stops with him.
The buck stops with him.
Haugen called the social media giant morally bankrupt. She compared them to big tobacco and said the company's own research shows its Instagram platform can be harmful and addictive to teens.
The way that they pick the content in Instagram for young users, for all users, amplifies preferences. So Facebook knows that they are leading young users to anorexia content.
Documents obtained by CBS News from a congressional source show the company conducted a study on teen girls' body image on Instagram. It found users' experience of downward spiral is exacerbated by our platform, and aspects of Instagram exacerbate each other to create a perfect storm.
Facebook's own research says it is not just that Instagram is dangerous for teenagers, that it harms teenagers. It's that it is distinctly worse than other forms of social media. That on TikTok, it is about funny things. Snapchat is about faces. But Instagram is about bodies and about social comparison.
After the testimony, in a lengthy Facebook post, Zuckerberg wrote, "The argument that we deliberately push content that makes people angry for profit is deeply illogical, and I don't know any tech company that sets out to build products that make people angry or..."
No, they're not setting out to create the product, Mark, but you know good and goddamn well that where you start and where you end are sometimes two different places. So cut it out. Cut it out. And it's not illogical. We know that human emotion, like triggering people and triggering certain responses in people, they found a way to commodify that, and they found a way to commodify it and also exacerbate it, to create more angst, to create more opportunities for commodification. Like this to me is now I know he's playing in my motherfucking face is what I really want to say. Now I know you playing in our faces, because you know good and well, because your own company did the research. She took the files. She took them and said, yeah, y'all said we were saying this, and here it is, government. She's a whistleblower. Like, get out of here. Taking your own research and using it against you. Like, stop it. Cut it out. And we see it here locally, right? Like we talked yesterday. We see it here locally. What's illogical is why you won't admit it. To that whole anorexia content, though, I'm so happy she specifically talked about the anorexia. Like when you look at like the Kardashians and you know how like the teas, all those like laxative teas and shit, and appetite suppressant lollipops that the Kardashians, not just them, but they're the ones I saw peddling the most. I always thought, like, why would these damn near billionaires, or if not billionaires, why would they be peddling this shitty product that's not whatever? But these companies, these corporations must really give them a bag they can't refuse. Well, I don't know what bag that the Kardashians won't refuse, but like that's the kind of content we're talking about. Like that promotes anorexia. That you could suck on this lollipop and, you know, not eat, you know, or you can take this tea that's just a laxative, right? It's really, or the waist cinchers, right? I know African-American women in that culture, like what I started seeing a lot of was the waist cinchers and things that, you know, oh, what waist? Take away your waist. And you see Summer Walker up here looking crazy with this corset yesterday, looking like she's about to pass out in this corset where she has this crazy waistline. You know, that stuff is really getting out of hand with BBL culture and stuff like that. So I totally get that whole like anorexia content. People don't look at what the Kardashians are doing as that, but that's exactly what it is. And also they have a body shape that's not that they paid for. And this is no shade, no surgery shaming, right? But like they have a body shape that they've paid for. It's not necessarily realistic. Sometimes we have women have some sort of genetic whatever, but what we see on, my dad had a response. There was a Candy Crush commercial that Khloe Kardashian's in, and like we were watching, like my dad was watching Gunsmoke or some shit, watching like Cheyenne or whatever, right? Whatever Western, and like in the commercial was like Candy Crush, and here comes, you know, Khloe walking sideways so you can see her, you know, her butt, and he was like, who is that? I'm like, a Kardashian. He's like, I don't understand why she had to walk to show me the video game. Like he caught it. Like, why is this white woman with this big butt? Like, it's just crazy how I don't know where I just went on that. But anyway, it's just crazy how they just proliferate society with this craziness, and like their bodies are just everywhere. It's just crazy. It's not shade. Yeah, it's crazy. It just, I'm like, why is Khloe Kardashian on this channel? Like, why is she in the commercial that's on this channel?
We're depressed.
The more time I spend on Instagram, the more sad and depressed I feel.
Jada Bromberg joined Instagram at 13 and says she has struggled with mental health challenges.
I've made social media positive for myself by trying to figure out what is and isn't helpful to me.
Zuckerberg, who is a father of two, says he's been reflecting about the experiences he wants his own kids and other children to have online. And he insists it's important that everything his company builds is safe. Of course, lawmakers want Zuckerberg to testify and could call other witnesses soon. Tony?
Yeah, a lot of these allegations feel true to people's experiences on the apps, but Facebook is pushing back. Nicole, thank you very much. And on the subject of pushback, in our next half hour, we'll speak with Facebook's global head of safety, Antigone Davis.
Looking forward to that. President Biden is launching a public campaign for a massive social spending bill and working.
So this is what I want to watch right here, this part. Nate, not feeling that tie, Nate?
Behind the scenes to make it smaller. He told union workers in Michigan yesterday that Republicans who oppose the plan are putting the country's future at stake. The president is also telling fellow Democrats that the multi-trillion-dollar plan will have to be cut by more than 1/3. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House. Ed, good morning.
Nate, good morning to you. It does seem that after weeks of very public disagreement over the size and scope of the president's plan, Democrats may now be rallying around a new, less expensive price.
On the road in Michigan, President Biden argued that trillions of dollars in new federal spending will help maintain America's competitive edge.
These bills are about competitiveness versus complacency.
A new poll shows a majority of Americans support the Democratic push for more federal spending on child care, education, family tax breaks, and expanding Medicare for seniors. But with members of the president's own party disagreeing about the scope of his plan, he's now telling them aim for roughly $2 trillion in new federal spending.
It could be $3.5 trillion. It's going to be less than that.
That new price range just might be enough to win over West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, a key holdout.
I'm not ruling anything out, but the bottom line is I want to make sure that it's strategic.
It's unclear how the proposed Build Back Better plan could be shrunk, but a group of House Democrats told the president Tuesday they want to enact new climate change protections, paid family leave, universal pre-K, and extend child tax credits. And then there's the debt limit. America's bills come due on October 18th. But Republicans say Democrats can raise the borrowing limit on their own.
They've had plenty of time to execute the debt ceiling increase.
Raising the debt limit pays for past spending. And Democrats note the national debt jumped nearly $8 trillion during the Trump administration, mostly thanks to Republican-backed tax cuts for higher-income Americans.
If Republicans would just get out of the damn way, we could get this all done.
The next step in the debt ceiling fight comes later today when Senate Democrats try to hold another vote to try to raise the limit. But that's going to require Republican consent. That's unlikely, and it means they'll likely once again invoke the filibuster. That prompted the president last night for the first time to suggest it may be time to rewrite Senate rules and get rid of the filibuster, at least when it comes to votes over the debt limit. He'll also meet later today, Gail, with business leaders to discuss the dangers of failing to increase the nation's borrowing limit.
All right, Ed, thank you very much. The Justice Department is making a surprise return to the sex abuse.
That's what I wanted to watch there, just to get perspective. But also, shout out to Tom again. B-Man was on point yesterday. B-Man was on point with the honey, too. That was clutch, I guess. Intercept. So y'all remember last week I said that I wanted you to listen to the Decoded podcast from The Intercept. The Decoded podcast from The Intercept. I'm not going to play this now, but I told you to listen to the Nina Turner episode. Well, check out the latest one. It's about Hold the Line, about how the progressive caucus finally got right, started acting like a damn squad. Go back to Deconstructed, the podcast. Listen to this latest episode. It features Bonnie Watson Coleman. Again, shout out B-Man, because I didn't listen to it till this morning. It was super dope. And I started texting with my homies in Jersey. But when Mika was a little constituent associate constituent relations associate working in Trenton, working in the State House. Bonnie Watson Coleman will often visit my boss, the Secretary of State, the Honorable Regina L. Thomas. And, you know, I would have to see Miss Bonnie Watson Coleman to the back sometimes, if I was just there. So it's super interesting, though, because I would not characterize her as progressive. And so her, you know, being one of the more progressive voices pushing for this legislation is super rad, like super dope. So shout out to Bonnie Watson Coleman. And y'all, please make sure you listen to this. It's real, 31 minutes. Boom, bam, bing, bong. You got it, right? Get some good framing on this whole thing. And also, Mother Jones wrote this story. I read it last month. How Kirsten spell her name? Was it with a Y? Kirsten spell her name Karen. Kirsten Cinema. Kirsten. Here we go. I read this article like last month. It's super dope. So if you want to understand, I love this art about how Kristen Sinema, like how we thought she was one thing, from radical activist to Senate obstructionist, the metamorphosis of Kirsten Sinema. Please, or Kirsten, whatever. Please read this. You can listen to it. It's 40-minute listen. If you want to put it on in your car, listen to it. For sure. It's worth it. You'll understand, you'll probably leave with more questions about her politics, but you'll understand, you'll see more of the fuckery. And I'm like, damn, she did that. Yeah. And so there's some some moderate conservatives calling her a maverick. She's not a maverick. She's not a maverick at all. She's not. She's loyal to her own interest. She is like the epitome of, she embodies so many different things that are just wrong with women who take up this space in political spaces. But I'm not going to get into it. We already listened to Bill Burr go off. Let's get to it. All right. So again, this show was produced and brought to you by Queen Comb Honey. And so today, Tom and I, again, we're talking about this article, and we're going to read it together, and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about also compare it to, and this article does a great job of outlining the history of this practice here in South Carolina, right? Yeah. We've got to overturn Citizens United. You ain't lying, Honor Marks. Thank you, Kia. Yep. That graphic summed up the article, L. Cool J, pretty much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about people, real quick on the cinema thing. I don't know how I feel about people outside her bathroom stall and all that other shit. I think it's fair game at the airport. Absolutely fair game. And they're not doing what the MAGA people were doing. We're like, shame on you, Mitt Romney. Shame on, we know you were gonna prop. That was the me. The women I saw approach Kirsten Sinema in the airport, they were pleading with her and just walking with her. I think that's 100% fair game, especially if you leave DC to go to a PAX fundraiser, hoity-toity fundraiser. I think it's fair game. But I don't know how. I don't feel like that whole bombarding you outside the bathroom stall. Chill out. Don't get crazy with it. All right, so here, back to the story. Black people are about to be swept aside for South Carolina's freeway again. All right, in planned highway widening project, 94%, that's 94% of displaced residents live in communities mostly consisting of Black and brown people. Okay, here, y'all, this looks familiar. Oh, I know what this is at. All right. A road end sign is displayed at the end of Jury Street in the Highland Terrace neighborhood of Charleston. This was taken in August 14th, 2021, so not too long ago. Again, this piece was published September 8th. So here we go. And written by Daryl Fears here, environmental justice. I will be hitting him up. And John, I want to say, is it Moist? I can't read. All right, graphics editor. So this is dope though. His graphics are thorough, right? But Daryl Fears here. Environmental Justice, Interior Department, Climate, Wildlife, Race, and Ethnicity, right? Oh, I wish we had that kind of categorization at the Post and Courier, just instead of giving Adam Parker all the black stuff. All right. Weary-eyed and feeling all of her 85 years, Hattie Anderson doesn't want to fight anymore. For most of her life, she held on to the large plot of land that she and her late husband, Samuel, pinched pennies to buy, even after the state ran a freeway through their mostly black community. After the city used eminent domain to take nearly 9 acres for a sewage drain, and after the state added a beltway. But now, as state officials plan another major road expansion, Anderson is offering to sell them her land and leave. Wow, that's sad. All right. If they don't take my house, she said, I'm going to just be in a little corner in a little hole by myself where I am. You see, where I am is like a dead end. The dismantling of black communities for state and federal highways is not just a thing of the past. It's happening now a few miles north of Charleston with the proposed West I-526 Low Country Corridor at a time when President Biden and his transportation secretary have vowed to stop it. Again, I must say that Joe Biden is really disappointing. I think he's bungled some things like unforced errors, arbitrary timelines with the Afghanistan withdrawal, like self-imposed timelines, self-imposed timeline with the infrastructure legislation being passed. But more disappointing is how he has not been following through on what he campaigned on. That's really disappointing. And you're going around the country talking about trains, planes, and automobiles, but you're not really you're not really putting the right people in position to make certain changes and at the cabinet level, and you're not following through just on a basic level. Shout out B-Man, I got you on that. Let me I think it's gonna pop up a different window. Yeah. So we'll thank you, B-Man, executive producer. Right. So this was March 2021. Adam Parker, speaking of the devil, 5 road projects threaten long-established black communities. So Adam did write about it. That's right. He did. Was this a Sunday? Didn't I quote Miss from League of Women Voters? Was she in this one? Okay, let me eat my words. Thank you. I begged this question at the beginning of the live stream. Have we been talking about it? This is good to know. Okay, we'll get back to this. Okay. Oh, B-Man. Talk about co-conspirator. You got the getaway car right here. I love it. Love a helpful white person. All right, here we go. Let's watch this real quick. It's WCIV, so y'all know what time it is, which doesn't mean anything. I'm just being forthright. Yeah, I hope Buttigieg does better. I don't think he should be in that seat.
Introducing the new Citi Custom Cash Card. It adapts to you. Earn 5% cash back that automatically.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Adjust to your top eligible spend category.
Can't find the mute button.
$500 spent each billing cycle. And $200 cash back after qualifying purchases. Apply now. Visit.
Can't find the mute button. I can do that. I love my new board.
Right now, traffic backups in our area back up for discussion tonight. Transportation leaders discussing new solutions for 526.
First leaders in the newsroom right now. So you sifted through a lengthy new report. What can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, good morning. Well, this is one of 3 ongoing projects on 526, but we're specifically discussing the I-526
we about to find out, Kia.
Corridor West project. Now, the goal here is to ease traffic in the stretch between Paul Cantrell Boulevard in West Ashley and Virginia Avenue in North Charleston. Now, tonight, leaders are conducting its final public involvement phase, where they plan to present an environmental impact report for this preferred alternative of the project. Now, like you mentioned, fruition. I sifted through that report and can tell you there are significant impacts on dozens of West Ashley and North Charleston neighborhoods, including relocation. Take a look at this. According to the report, if this alternative were approved, it would relocate 36 single-family homes, 47 apartment units, 11 mobile homes, and 16 businesses, as well as others. Now, here's what transportation leaders had to say about compensation and benefits for those impacted if this project came to fruition.
We'll make offers based on appraisal, but also they're entitled to relocation benefits. And so those are the benefits that sometimes.
Okay, so when you said Joy Riley earlier, I didn't know what you meant. I thought you mistyped. I thought it was typo. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you for the other clip we're going to watch as well. I really appreciate this. I want to put both reporting back to back. Is really important. Thank you so much. And real quick, I told Tom this yesterday, y'all. Don't assume I see everything. I don't. When I can't consume news. It takes a lot out of me. I sound like a fucking martyr, but no. I don't like endlessly read news all day. Sometimes I do, depending on the story or my mood, but usually I hop off there and just start watching Dan Patrick. So don't assume that I see everything. Yeah, usually Sundays, the weekends, I catch up on a lot of news, national and whatnot, and mornings, right? And like at the tail end of the evening in preparation for the next morning's live stream. So if you see a story, don't assume that I know. I don't mind you like inundating me with that stuff right there. All right. Tom, you got a second? Tom, if you got a second, give me a thumbs up, Tom, if you want to be my test caller, my beta caller. If you got a second, tell me if you're willing to do that, because I got you're one of the few people who in the live stream whose number I got. Let me know if you want to be a test caller with a thumbs up. But keep chatting, y'all. Keep chatting.
Fill the gap when, let's say you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, then what it appraises for is not adequate to turn around and purchase a comparable home in the community. So the relocation package can sometimes have additional benefits that assist you.
Now, of course, there are reasons for the project, the biggest being population growth. SCDOT ranking part of this stretch the most congested in the state, with growing port terminals and projections showing a major need for increased capacity on these roadways. Now, nothing is set in stone just yet. Project leaders are seeking public comment on this impact statement by January 15th of 2021. Leaders hoping to get it approved by this time next year. In the newsroom, Brooke Schwieters, ABC News.
Okay.
With Riders Law Group, we wanted to really try to brand it so the riders in South Carolina.
I want to play this other clip, and then we're going to look at Adam Parker's story. I do remember this now. I do remember this story now because the photography. I remember that. There was a News 2 clip. Hey, Allie, good morning. Oh, this is the Phillips community. So, yeah, we talked about like this back. Did we? I thought we talked about. I remember when they were in we talked about the effort that they launched to save
Phillips community. Let me introduce you to the ultimate window. You feel safer with this or this?
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get 1 more free. Call today.
Has been designated as a historical district. News 2's Lexi Moore joins us live from County Council chambers. And Lexi, you've listened to this meeting tonight, and the council has made some big decisions that impact one of the settlement communities. But the plans are not yet finalized.
Yeah, Brennan, just over an hour ago or so at tonight's meeting, Charleston County Council voted to designate the Phillips community as a historical district. And now residents of the community are hopeful that through years of presenting their plans to the council, their communities won't be destroyed. A big win for the Phillips community, finding out they're a historical district.
All right, y'all, we're going to do a little beta testing. We're going to do a little beta. I don't have my cord, but we're going to use Bluetooth on the board. Let me see, Tom, can you hear me?
I got you.
Can y'all hear Tom? Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear Tom. Taking our first caller. This is a long-time listener, first-time caller. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Mika?
I'm doing great. Yeah, did I do good with the impersonation of your voice?
It was spot on.
So let me ask you this. So from what you read in the stories, right? Cool. Thumbs up if you can hear, y'all. Yep. Sounds real good. Good. This is what I want to bring to the show, y'all. So what you read, what you kind of were able to summarize, what were your biggest takeaways from the coverage?
That, there's so much historic precedence for how they've just, eminent domained land away from Black and brown people all over the country, and they're still doing it today.
Yeah. How does it make you feel?
Pissed off.
All right. Would you like to go ahead and drop a plug for your honey?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a local beekeeper. Y'all can find my honey at Roots and Suits Nursery on Wapoo Road in West Ashley.
Cool. Let me ask you real quick. The honey you gave me, one more time. The honey you gave me yesterday, is yours or somebody else's?
That's mine.
This shit tastes so good, though. I had it again.
Yeah, I don't peddle other people's honey. That's
I didn't know, maybe you, I don't know why I thought that. I got confused. All right. Well, thank you for being my first caller, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Bye. All right, I wanted to test it. Yeah, we're gonna have some callers, y'all. So we gonna figure it out. That was dope. I'm done. All right, that's dope. So yeah, it sounded good too. No wire. It was just Bluetooth. All right, but yeah, so we're gonna make it real interactive. But yeah, I wanted to just wanted to get that in there. Yeah, support time for real. Let's continue to play this story. Thank y'all for the feedback.
But residents are still fighting for a change in the plans in the Highway 41 project.
The Highway 41 project has been an ongoing project for at least 15 years now. 15 years. This has been a long ordeal. Your plan is either fair nor equitable with respect to the 7 mile.
The audio sound really gnarly in my ear. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm gonna just turn it down again. What Tom said before I took his call. Thank y'all for indulging me. What Tom said, you can see I got his voice right? Nah, he's the homie. What Tom said earlier about the whole low appraisal values, that is what I want to hop into. So I am happy again. Give credit where credit's due. Thank you. Shout out to Adam Parker for covering the story in an expansive way. I want to say this was in the Sunday paper. Was it the front page story? I'll go back and look. But they talked to Abe Jenkins, Mr. Abe Jenkins. That's what's up. So we'll get back to the story. Let's read a little bit more from Washington Post, right? So we started off with Miss Hattie Anderson, who just like, look, I gotta sell. If I don't sell, I'm gonna be in this dead end street in this little corner, like what is that, right? And then so the Daryl Fears went on to say the dismantling of Black communities for state and federal highways is not just a thing of the past. We read this, but I'm just rereading it. It's happening now a few miles north of Charleston with proposed West I-526 Low Country Corridor at a time when President Biden and his transportation secretary have vowed to stop it. South Carolina is proposing to sweep aside dozens of homes and potentially hundreds of people to widen freeway interchange choked with traffic. The booming coastal region, y'all know the growth that they've been wooing in, with the manufacturing jobs with Boeing specifically in this area. Also tourism and whatnot has brought a lot of people here. Some students come and stay. You get it. You know how many people are moving to Charleston in that record pace. When I moved here in 2014, it was 50 people a day, and that was including children being born. They included that as part of the statistics, which is interesting when you say people moved here. But 50 people a day, I know that number is way bigger. Way bigger. My friend from Jersey, shout out my homie Theo. He just said that Bonnie Watson Coleman was fire. Yeah, she's fire. He listened to the podcast. All right, back to this. All right. So what I like about the Washington Post coverage, I'm gonna make it a little smaller, were the graphics that they used too. I don't know how much it's gonna translate, on Twitch, but So here, this map says, let me see if I might need to make it bigger again. This map says, let's see. Yeah. It's on the off chance that y'all can read it. Oh, yeah. Okay. This night, remember, it's so funny because Friends of Gadsden Creek, right? We showed you the aerial footage. Friends of Gadsden Creek did the same thing. All right, this 1957 aerial photograph shows neighborhoods of Liberty Park, and y'all know that area, historically black, Liberty Park and Highland Terrace and North Charleston prior to construction of a freeway in 1969. At the time of the freeway construction, these neighborhoods were majority black, according to residents and state officials. Then they have another graphic here. All right, so this is, and I'll make it smaller in a second because you can see how the graphics start to become colorized here, or the yellow. All right, in decades since this photo was taken, 2 freeways cutting through the neighborhoods have displaced dozens of buildings, homes, churches, businesses. In quotes, it says low income and minority residents felt that they were not properly informed or assisted in relocation. All right, the state wrote in a community impact assessment. Right. Today, Highland Terrace is separated from Liberty Park by lanes of traffic sandwiched between the massive freeway interchange and nearby airport. Shout out to the Summies. And remember how all this works together, right? So a lot of my scathing critiques of CBB is really a larger critique of how these industries kind of team up and create this vision of Charleston, North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, so on and so forth, the Tri-County area, Dorchester, Charleston, and Berkeley. That's really what I'm really trying to get. Of course, tourism specifically, yes, but the business interest here, and this is why Helen Hill cannot just be looked at as someone who's talking about tourism on the peninsula. Helen Hill is part of a bigger, she's a cog in a bigger mechanism, I guess, and a machine that's been operated by, over 30 years of Summie, and now guaranteed to be over 40, 50 years of Summie with Elliott now rising to prominence in these major roles within the county and on the aviation board, right? So you've got nepotism and you've got that rigidity that comes with, or hyper tenure that comes with a mayor being in office over 20 years, over 25 years. And so you've got that, and you just got all of this working, this perfect storm. And this is the vision. This is the vision for North Charleston, this is the vision for the Tri-County area. So history is about to repeat itself. South Carolina's preferred plan to expand the freeway interchange will result in the demolition or relocation of 100 homes and businesses, right? And I'm gonna try to pan out so you can see these graphics. Or at least I can tell you what they look like, so yeah, it just, so it starts off in black and white, 1957, right? Then as you scroll, that's Highland Terrace, right? And as you scroll, buildings, keep moving it. Buildings removed since 1957. So all these yellow dots, if you can make it out, all these yellow dots along, where the highways are now, those were displaced people, businesses, buildings, etc. All right. So now I'm gonna get back to the rest of the story, and we're gonna flip it back to Post and Courier because it is important to get the local perspective. For sure. Make it super big. All right. So the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill awaiting a House vote includes a provision that seeks to mend communities of color that were broken apart by American freeways built over the last 4 decades. Democrats call for a $20 billion with a B, call for $20 billion to retrofit and possibly remove highways that became barriers in underprivileged communities while adding parks and walkway bridges to beautify these areas and to make them safer for pedestrians and cyclists to navigate. But Biden tries, but as Biden tries to right past wrongs, black residents in North Charleston dread a plan that threatens them now. They live in apartments, trailers, starter homes, and houses that South Carolina transportation officials framed in red for demolition. I bet. For demolition. Anderson, right? Hattie Anderson from the beginning of the story. Anderson is haunted by the memory of what happened to her robust community when the highway was first built and expanded when she was a young woman in her 30s. It's a kind of split Liberty Park and Highlands Terrace. It kind of split up, or kind of split Liberty Park and Highland Terrace up, she said. Excuse me. All right, I'm gonna drop up in the chat. Let me see. B-Man, you wrote in the chat, the practice of locating freeways, oil and gas refineries, transportation hubs, landfills, power plants, concrete batch operations, and freeways in non-white areas is so common that they have a name. Sacrifice communities. Damn. Joy, you says it happened to read this article last night. It is well done, and I think the graphics really make it. Yeah, really make it pop, right? Honor, you says powerful visual, right? Interactive map, absolutely. Y'all thank my co-producer B-Man, y'all, because I'm like, what? All right. So now we're going to continue on Black communities. The point of least resistance. Ooh. Interstate 26 crawled up to Anderson's doorstep from Charleston, where it originated in South Carolina. The project launched immediately after Congress passed Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, paving the way for major roads that scarred and wiped out communities of color from Atlanta to Oakland. So let me say that again, because I was a little janky. The project launched immediately after Congress passed the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, paving the way for major roads that scarred and wiped out communities of color from Atlanta to Oakland. I'm saying that because, shout out to the homie Amron. Y'all remember when I used the TIF districts, the TIF district research that Airman and other students from Pratt up in Brooklyn put together. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull it up again because that word scarred jumped out because she used it in regards to, she used it to describe the Septima Clark Expressway that did the same thing right here on the peninsula. Not here, but right on the peninsula. Here we go. I think she even illustrated it that way. So I know I focus more on the information that dealt directly with that dealt with the TIFs and how that impacts it. So, but this is what Aaron put together. I don't know if you can see it, you can make it out. So this is the picture from the Septima P. Clark Expressway designation ceremony in 1978 with historical marker. Now, this is something that Aaron, y'all remember, now Aaron is a she's wise beyond her years. She's in her 20s, and she always points out these details to me that I found riveting. I love looking at the city. I love looking at planning, and just a lot of issues through her lens because she sees things very vividly, right? And so when she said that, she said, Tamika, this is the picture, because we use this with the Friends of Gadsden Creek, like in a lot of our work presentations. We use this picture of Mama Septima Clark, you know, being honored as she should be, right? Being honored, and you can still see this marker if you look for it as you're maybe going to Trader Joe's like I do, or coming back. I think you can see it better when you're coming from like Mount Pleasant, coming from that direction into Charleston, right? So it's this marker. It was dedicated to her in 78. And she says, and she puts, I don't know if you can see it in brackets or parentheses, she puts gravestone. It looks like a gravestone. And she always, I love how she sees that it looks like a tombstone, right? And then like so when the article, when Washington Post says it's scarred communities, I know what they mean, but Amron quite literally said that with the look, so you could do this. She almost did the same thing with her mapping when she created this graphic. It's trying to show you like this scar right here. You see it, like if you can see the arrow moving fast. This is like the homes that were displaced. These were homes. These were Black homes, right? These were Black homes. And right here, it leaves this kind of scar right through it. And you see I-26 right here, and you see 17, right? So you're coming from West Ashley, whatever, da-da-da-da-da, right? Or I had it backwards. You get what I'm saying. Pardon me, right? And so you see the scar right here, right? So that's just crazy. It's just whatever. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. How it just cuts right through these black communities like that. All right. Get back to the Washington Post. All right. Yep. Scarred communities of color from Atlanta to Oakland, often under the guise of urban renewal. We know that's the euphemism that comes with redlining, that comes with displacing black people, right? All right. Often under the guise of urban renewal. Deborah Archer wrote in an article, called White Men's Roads. Whoa. I got to find this article. It's right here. Wow. Ooh, how much this cost? Is it Pop Cookies? Hope it's free. Is it free? Download this paper. Yoink. Okay. This is what I be reading. More than news is what I read, like studies and shit. Oh man. Here we go. So this article, we're gonna stay focused. Well, let's lift it up while we're reading it, because that's what I like about the Washington Post article that maybe the Post and Courier doesn't have, is like this, they're relying on other scholarship and other types of historical perspectives that are important. So she wrote this article, White Men's Roads Through Black Men's Homes, Advancing Racial Equity Through Highway Reconstruction. We gonna get into that. That sounds like some bedtime reading with my single ass. All right, so Deborah Archer wrote in her article, White Men's Roads Through Black Men's Homes, Advancing Racial Equity Through Highway Reconstruction. This is her quote, Black communities are impacted because they were Black communities, said Archer, a clinical law professor at New York University, NYU, during a phone interview. All right, they were impacted to remove Black people. They were impacted because people wanted to lock in segregation. So when you hear Miss Hattie talk about it split up Liberty, right? It split up two communities. That's exactly, and it precipitates or facilitates either segregation of some sort, right? Let me read it again. It bears repeating. Black communities were impacted because they were Black communities, said Archer, a clinical law professor at NYU, during a phone call interview. They were impacted to remove Black people. They were impacted because Black people wanted to, they were impacted because people wanted to lock in segregation, right? All right, there's some more here. Racial injustice. I'm not going to click on this hyperlink, but so Kevin Cruz, y'all know that name from Twitter. Y'all should. I believe that's him. Kevin Cruz, a Princeton University history professor, recalled that Atlanta's mayor openly said Interstate 20 was designed to divide white and Black communities. If you read the 1619 project, this is in that. How highway planning in Atlanta specifically is very much about race, and injustice and displacement. If you look at how Atlanta's roads and highways are planned, you cannot escape it, and it's in the 1619 project. Kevin Cruz leads that I think he contributed to that specific story. That's why he's being asked to speak here, right? So Kevin Cruz, a Princeton University history professor, recalled Atlanta's mayor openly said that Interstate 20 was designed to divide white and Black communities, and it wasn't just in the South. Interstate 579 cut off Pittsburgh's Hill District of Black businesses and residents from the city downtown, while expressways also eviscerated Black communities in St. Paul and Detroit. Crazy. All right, the practice of, there's more graphs. I want to get to these graphs. The practice of locating freeways, like Tom already dropped it in the chat, right? The practice of relocating freeways, oil and gas refineries, transportation hubs, landfills, power plants, concrete batch operations, and freeways in non-white areas is so common that they have a name for it, sacrifice communities. Then we scroll down another interactive map here. All right, might make it a little smaller if we can't capture everything. A freeway expansion through majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, right? A freeway expansion through majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. So I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Okay. So the purple colors are majority people of color. The yellow and gold colors are majority white, right? So this is Charleston. Oh God, can I open image in a new tab? Wow, I could download this. Okay. Get back to it. All right. So planned interchange, the key to your question, planned interchange widening. You see it over here by the airport, right? North Charleston. And it says, and so, but it shows you what, so all the purple is where the black people live. All the purple is where the black people live, right? Why we ain't widening over here? Why we not widening over here? To the right. Why we ain't widening over here? Or that, you know, right? This is 2020 decennial census, open street map contributors. Okay. Robert D. Bullard, a distinguished professor at Texas Southern University and author of the 2004 book, Highway Robbery, Transportation Racism. See, damn, I love this. Transportation Racism and New Routes to Equity. Said residents living near freeways pay a heavy price. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, estimates that 20,000 Americans die prematurely each year from motor vehicle pollution. I never knew that statistic. Let me say it again. The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that 20,000 Americans die prematurely each year from motor vehicle pollution. Here's more from Ms. Hattie Anderson. Anderson began noticing strange things when Interstate 26 arrived in 1969. And again when Interstate 526 joined it 2 decades later. Animals came from out of nowhere, she said. I saw foxes, raccoons would lift bricks. She said would lift bricks off the top of trash cans. What? Raccoons would lift bricks? I hate raccoons. They scare me. Oh, they scare me. They got hands like humans, it looks like. Ugh. Raccoons can do that, though? They got opposable thumbs? All right, let's switch over to Post and Courier. Let's kind of, not a comparison because I don't want to do that. I don't think that's fair. Because, of course, the Post and Courier don't have the resources of a Washington Post. But let's just do like somewhat like, let's listen to the tone and tenor of the contribution. What my biggest criticism of Post and Courier and Adam Parker is sometimes I think they kind of like, they go for the trauma, whereas as we saw in the Washington Post piece, it relied heavily on scholarship, it relied heavily on data, statistics, it gave you visuals. Again, understand that Adam Parker is not going to have the resources that Daryl Fears has, but sometimes I feel like, and I'm not trying to help y'all come to a conclusion about Adam's reporting here. I'm just letting you know how I read. Like, I guess my bias is that I feel like they really talk about how bad it is for black people. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Almost sometimes they also present it like it happened in a vacuum, right? So it says 5 road projects threaten long-established black communities. But I hope Adam talks about this being a pattern, because this is a pattern. And that was really driven home in the Washington Post piece. All right, so Adam here has Miss Anna Fields here. And it says, she's quoted as saying, I spent a lot of time looking out the window. This is Miss Anna right here. I spent a lot of time looking out the window to see who's coming in the store, said Anna Fields White on March 5th, 2021, inside the store beside River Road on Johns Island, that she and her family have operated for 60 years. I used to be able to count the cars that went down the road, right? All right. So then the story starts off Johns Island. Okay. And it's talking about 5 projects instead of the one 526. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. Abe Jenkins is visiting his friend Anna Fields White. They chat outside her shop, Fields Grocery, on a cool and sunny mid-afternoon as cars and pickups whiz along River Road just a few feet away. Facing the store is Fields Farm, one of 2 on Johns Island, still operated by black families. Sometimes I have to wait 10 to 15 minutes before I can cross the road, White says, adding that in the past couple of months, she has witnessed 4 accidents just this side of the curve in the road. The store was opened by her parents in 1957. It sits next to a praise house that's at least a century old. River Road used to be unpaved, Jenkins said. He remembers spending hours after school at the Progressive Club, a rural community center operated by his grandfather Esau Jenkins, right? This area was once considered remote. Today, River Road features several new subdivisions and a lot more traffic. Government officials are planning to extend Interstate 526 from West Ashley across a part of Johns Island and into James Island, where it will meet up with the connector. Plans also are afoot to widen Bohicket Road. Goddamn. It's going to get harder to get to my parents' house. I said that. Widen Bohicket Road between Maybank and the Betsy Kerrigan Parkway. There's even some talk of upgrading Oak-lined River Road. Damn. How? Okay. Widening Oak-lined River Road. All this prospective infrastructure work has White and Jenkins very worried. It's not really perspective. It's like gonna happen. It's impacting existing settlements where people are living, Jenkins said. It's going to increase development, increase traffic. It's going to add more to a rural area that's already terribly hit with development. You ain't lying. Right before you turn on the Wamalaw, y'all, there's a new complex being built, and it's right next to St. John's High School. So when I'm going to Wamalaw, it's like you see all these trees just gone. And like they're gonna put I can only imagine what that corner, that corner before you, like when you're on Main Road about to turn on to, what's that road? That little road before you turn on to Wamalaw, before you make those two rights. Is that Brown Road? I forgot what that little road is called. All right, he's worried about the new flooding caused by all the construction that can affect long-established homes. Amen. We saw that on Main Road at the Main Road and 17 intersection when they built those new apartments right by Gilligan's, right by Gilligan's, where the old Burger King used to be. Remember when a few years ago when that shit flooded and it shut down Main Road right there? That was due to all that new construction over there, right there in Red Top, right? He's worried about new flooding caused by all the construction that can affect long-established homes. He's worried about how gentrification threatens the historic identity of Johns Island. Shout out to Mayor Tecklenburg for letting the Qataris, build some super secret drones over there in the airport over there in Johns Island, just whatever, and a whole bunch of other stuff going on over there, right? The historical identity. Thank you, Mr. A. Jenkins. All right. He's worried that an influx of middle class and wealthy homeowners will transform the island's economy, making it more difficult for low income African Americans to get by. He's worried that so much change in such a short period of time will drive off more young Black people. This is where, now, while lifting this up is important, this is where I think, this is just me reading. I got you in the chat. This is where I think Adam, like he stays there, right? He stays there. Whereas, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Y'all tell me now I'm making you splitting hairs. I felt like Daryl talked to Miss Hattie, then talked about the data. Talked to Miss Hattie, then talked about the statistics in another scholar, right? Talked to Miss Hattie quote again, then talked to another historian, another author. Like, I feel like Adam just keeps going with like, Black people are going to be extinct. It's horrible. This is a bad thing. All these Black people are scared. Talk about the actual motherfucking policies. Talk about the policymakers. And I'm sure he gets to it because I saw the bullet points later. But this is where my criticism of Adam's reporting is like, right, and I think it's important, right? Okay, so here he goes. He gets into it. In the past, discriminatory federal programs inflicted local. I don't know what you're doing there. Let me see if you. I'm just gonna peruse and see if you can talk about the local governments. I don't see Summy yet. Let me do a search. Let me do a find. Let me see if I see Summy. Oh, no Summy. Let me see if I see a Riley. Let me Google Riley in the piece. No, oh, wow. Let me see Mayor. Okay, Tecklenburg is in there. Okay, let's see. Charleston Mayor Tecklenburg said much has changed in the approach to highway building, and DOT has made huge strides. Officials today are far more attuned to social and economic justice issues and strive to be fair. So you give him a layup so you can justify the bullshit policies. All right, let me see what y'all say in the chat. Don't estimate a raccoon. Thank you, LQJ. That's so true. I know I'm going back to earlier comments. That's so true. Anytime there's a major construction, wildlife gets crazy. You talking about Miss Hattie? Wow, this is terrible, says Brienne. It is. Yes, yes, that area doesn't even look the same anymore, right? And there's a huge new development on the other side of River Road, right across from Gilligan's, right? That I talked about that. Yep, the area hugely floods, right? Can't make Zucker angry, right, Honor? This is crazy to me. Like, okay, they talk about DOT. They talk about the EPA. Talk to the SC Department of... I'm going to read it, so I want to be fair to Adam. Look, caption this, y'all. Caption this picture, y'all. Please do me a favor before I go get my braces tightened. Caption this picture. I got a couple captions. Oh God. Kid, the short answer is it's almost overwhelming to pour over. Like there's so much conversation. This is the thing we do get wrapped around the axle that is like some of the more splashier issues when I engage city council, but the real meat and potatoes is the ways and means, yes, and other like the planning portions of the calls. We're not paying enough attention to that, and we're not voicing enough opposition, and I'm including myself in that. So this stuff does come before council in different ways, whether it's in the very early stages of planning, whether there's like proposed annexation. There are so many different junctures that if we slow down and really paid attention, and it's designed to be particularly difficult to understand. But if I slow down and talk to talk to certain people and friends and colleagues who are more adept at pulling this stuff apart and deciphering it, I could probably give it to you better. But yeah, there are many times where we can engage with this with the plans before the cranes go up, as one of the housing officials said before. Y'all gotta say something before the cranes go. Well, before the cranes go up, actually these tips were made in the 90s and shit. Like a lot of this stuff was they treated the soil, so to speak. They started treating the soil like 2 decades ago, like at the least, maybe 3 decades, right? And so it's not just, when the cranes go up. Some of this stuff been set in motion now for some of the more recent plans in like Mount Pleasant and West Ashley. I think public comment could kind of impact things, but I don't know how much. Joy, you said in the chat, by the time it gets to the news, the wheels are already, there you go. You said the words right out, took the words out of my mouth. By the time it gets to the news, the wheels are already in motion. It's hard to wade through the sludge. It is. AJ Davis definitely sounds the alarm. Yeah, on city planning. He does. Evelyn does. Evelyn, who used to join in the morning a little bit more regularly, she does as well. Or she's looked it up. I know. Yeah. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I know I shouldn't. I'm going to read Adam's coverage. I'm going to read it. But I kind of can already, because I know how the editorial board moves. And so you're going to give Mayor Tecklenburg right here, you're going to give him a chance to, how you not mention Summy in any of this, though? How Summy naming, and like, I don't understand how you can write about the widening or proposed projects and not mention Summy, especially if you're talking about the airport, 526. Right? Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg said much has changed in the approach to highway building, and DOT has made huge strides. Officials today are far more attuned to social and economic justice issues. That's just empty. I still fear, as mayor 60 years later, memories of how Interstate 26 and the crosstown projects impacted neighborhoods. He said, so I think, excuse me, he still hears. I said fears. I still hear as mayor 60 years later memories of how the Interstate 26 and crosstown projects impacted neighborhoods. He said, so I think it's just become part of our culture, generally speaking, in the city, to become a little more thoughtful and intentional. And that's not true. Damn. You get away with it. Who wears seersucker and nobody like gets away with it, not saying nothing. Did we caption it? Did we caption that photo? That photo I was saying, like, it looks like they were literally looking like they were about to like, okay, here is where we take the black people and with laser like precision. I don't know how to caption it. All right, here we go. Got a little more time to go. Okay. Let's a history of negative impacts. So let's go here. Let's continue to read. This is Ruth Mae Whitney. Ruth Mae Whitney looks out at the cars passing by on I-26. All right. Another reoccurring roads end sign displayed in the Highland Terrace neighborhood. Okay. Ruth Mae Whitney opened her front door one August day, and the sound of heavy traffic poured into her house. I can only imagine how loud that shit is. I can only imagine. All right, poured in, and all the traffic poured in her house. Truck engines growled, hot rods shrieked as they raced past the speed limit. Even when the doors closed, the muffled drone of more than 100,000 vehicles per day is a never-ending whoosh. At rush hour, it often becomes a horn honking grind. She said, I can sit on my porch and see how congested it is on the highway, Whitney says. She has lived in Highland Terrace, about a mile from Hattie Anderson, for 52 years. Damn. Around the time that I-26 arrived, it forced Whitney, now 86, and her mother to evacuate their first house on Jury Lane. That sounds familiar, right? Here you just got settled, and here comes the highway taking your place, she said. The addition of the Beltway 2 decades later brought the road within a few feet of her current home on Good Street. The proposed expansion spared that house, but, she said, it would eliminate the house next door and take a chunk of her property and put me very close to the highway. I'll be hearing all of that traffic noise even more. Wow. That's sad. All right. You said, B-Man, you said that Abe Jenkins addresses the planning issue. He does. You have a caption, Kia. Kia, behave yourself. I hear you. This is sad. Okay, here, more graphics. Is at the department. All right, let me read. Let me not skip. Okay, on the phone. Let's do it right here. On the phone. On the telephone at her office in Columbia, the state capital, the state capital, Joy Riley. Okay, again, we just saw her in the news clip. Joy Riley was apologetic. Riley, the project manager for the expansion, acknowledged that Black residents were wronged when the interstates were originally built, and now, past and present. All right, we had a history there of going in and negatively impacting these communities. You still do, Riley said. All right, and so the challenging part was trying to go in and figure out how we can address the traffic issues, but also look at what's been done in the past to try to do something different now. Riley was adamant that the project has to be done. All right. She's adamant that it has to be done. The interchange that joins Interstate 26 and 526 is undersized undersized in a county where the population has doubled since 1960 to more than 411,000 people. The interchange just can't handle the number of vehicles that come through there daily. You're just stuck and you can't get out. I agree with that. But the solutions are trash. Because you're not building through white. Like you saw the map already, right? The department's preferred alternative would acquire 33 single-family homes, 4 apartment buildings, and at least 35 units, 11 mobile homes, and 8 duplexes. 2 community centers and at least 1 church will be leveled. The plan, see, and I think this is where Adam Parker, I hope that he gets to talk about the city's proposed plans and what it's taking. Don't just stay stuck on yesteryear. Talk about the proposed plans from the county and city level and what we're going to lose. Now, we saw that in a news clip. We saw the coverage with the chart where it said how many properties are going to be lost. So at least they cop to it. They got to, right? They legally have to do that. But at least here, too, this reporting underscores the number, puts a face to this pattern of taking, right? The department's preferred alternative required 33 single-family homes. That's 33 families, right? 4 apartment buildings, right? With at least 35 units each, y'all, right? 35 times 4, 11 mobile homes, and 8 duplexes. 2 community centers and at least 1 church will be leveled. The plan doesn't say how many people will be forced out of those buildings. And like, again, the development, now I want to kind of swing over to that Policy Link podcast that I shared in my stories. My podcast, the Water Equity podcast. Right? And then I'm going to go over to Instagram. Jennifer Singleton, who I interviewed for that episode. There we go. Kichi Gal Basket. Make sure y'all support the homie. Right? So this is a story she posted recently over the weekend. See if y'all can hear it.
We're out here in the land of sweetgrass that they're gonna mulch down in a.
I don't know how this is coming across. I'm gonna play it again. I don't know how it's coming across with the new interface. So if you can't hear it, just say, "Hey, Mika, it's hard to hear her talk." Okay, but I'm gonna play it again.
We're out here in the land of sweetgrass that they're gonna mulch down in about 3 weeks to 3 to 8 weeks. And they're all coarse grass. They were looking for some people to actually come out and cultivate this. This is too much grass for me and my husband to actually cultivate. But we're gonna see what we can get today. I'm already tired, as y'all can hear in my voice. But it's lots and lots, of course, sweetgrass here. Something's been laying in it. It's overlapping each other. It's in between all these trees and different things of wildlife.
Okay. All right. So Jennifer, I interviewed her way back when we had a time. And while I think it's important to lift up her voice, I want to, well, no, we could do both. I want to first go to Brian's comments and then bring it back to part of the conversation I had with Jennifer, which I think is in the middle.
This day, from 7 years old until I'm almost 38.
Right. And so, like, she called me from the phone, y'all. Ooh, we had a time trying to get the audio. So I don't know how well it comes across here. But we'll want to hear from her because it's important to center her voice and not just my white scholar friend. But I wanted to play Brian's commentary because I wanted to talk about, like, how climate change impacts Gullah culture, right? And that's literally through like the raw materials that help to go into some of the crafts that, you know, that we know and love. Let me see.
Some really important dynamics that are involved in it. And I do think is related is that the other thing that makes it hard to gather sweetgrass these days is how much of it now lies behind gated communities.
Can y'all hear that?
And that also challenges the ability for Gullah communities to gather sweetgrass. So we're seeing here overdevelopment, which is related to climate change and flooding, and how that is limiting access specifically through a fence.
Climate change. So like
Gullah Geechee community.
Did y'all hear that? Like how he was saying. Okay, that's good. I'm glad y'all heard. So you heard like he's like it's so hard. Like what's threatening Gullah Geechee is like these all of these materials are behind gated communities, and development threatens it, right? And as Jennifer said in her post, and she was explaining it to Akua from Geechee Experience, like is it set in motion, whatnot. Akua was asking that question. Like y'all know how Kiowa moves. It's his own government. They planning the senior center. It is what it is. I guess it sounded like they at least gave her a hootie hoo, like yo come, or somebody gave her a hootie hoo, like hey come get some of the sweetgrass, whatever. But yeah, by the time like we were already intimated, or that was already intimated in the chat, by the time we find out about these things, it's pretty much a done deal. But this is a problem that's not just exclusive to this area, right? Not just the Johns Island, Kiowa, Seabrook area. It's also pervasive in other areas, up 17 and whatnot, right? So it's becoming hard. And like Jenna Faye, and I'm gonna go to her, like again, I think it's important to hear her, but I wanted to make sure y'all could hear. I've turned up everything that I could, but it sounds low in my ear, but that might just me. All right, so I want to get back to some of what Jennifer offered up in here. I don't know where to start. Let me see.
I kept practicing. I started progressing, and it got better and better and better.
So do me a favor, like I think in the next newsletter that goes out, because we won a big award as well, like shout out FOGC, we're an award-winning environmentalist group. So I'm going to probably, with my newsletter promoting the live stream, the Twitch live stream, I'm going to put a link to the podcast, the 4 episodes that I produced. And so you can go back and hear her talk about her origin story, how she learned this. I think that's so important. But I wanted to get to her, like she went off like at a certain point. I probably could play it from my computer. No, I don't want to. Let me.
You don't have to depend on nobody.
I started playing music at the end. Got some feedback about that.
Going on in the world today that we all know about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you in closing, like, are you worried about the future of basket making or any type of Gullah Geechee art that relies on natural resources like sweetgrass, like palms? Like, are you worried about the future?
I'm worried about the future of our children. I'm worried about the future of our children because our children have, they weren't raised like us from the 80s and the 70s and the 90s. They weren't raised like us. I mean, once the 90s came, the kids got technology. And once technology came, it took over. Now that the kids have so much technology now, it's like handmade things doesn't make any sense to them. It's just like me trying to teach my boys, look, your mommy makes quilts. Come learn how to put these patterns together. So if one day you get cold, you at least know how to warm yourself up. Or come make this basket. And then if one day you don't have a job and you need to make a couple of dollars, you know how to make this basket so you can make a couple of dollars. If one day you need to learn how to survive off of what we have right now, how about you come raise these chickens and these rabbits and come plant this garden so you would have sufficient income, sufficient food, and sufficient things that you don't have to depend on nobody else. The technology has taken over so badly, so the kids don't even read like they used to anymore. They're just talking to the computer or their laptop or their tablet or their cell phone. So technology has messed us up really badly. I mean, I love technology because we own it right now. But at some point, I would like to sit down and I would like to feel some fibers in between my fingers, whether it's textile or it's fabric. I want to feel everything. I want to look at it. I want to see how this works with what this works with. I want to get into my kitchen and open.
Did the music make it warbly? That's what I'm scared of. Did the music make it warbly? But like, I love what she said. I'm gonna stop it right there. I love what she said. I want to feel some textiles. I want to feel some fibers in between my, like, I literally just want to do that. And that's like the bigger discussion about, I'll have a whole situation about, the endangerment, I don't know, just gullah culture in general and how it's endangered. Right. But yeah, she's so like, I'm telling you, first of all, she a trooper because I sent her a Zoom link, and so she was at home, but broadband, she's somewhere rural, right? I think she out in the Hugie area. And so she was like, her kids was like doing homework. So I'm not going to say, hey, tell your kids that. But she was like, hold on. And she kept trying to call me through the Zoom link from the house. And it didn't work. And then she literally ran down to like the dollar store or somewhere and just parked there so she can get like, it sounded like when I used to live in Wamala, same situation. But it was just such a, through her, like she just was dogged in her, like making sure she connected. But this Jennifer, y'all, I believe that's her. Right? Yep. Boss business owner. There you go, Jennifer. Super dope. And she makes, let me show her wares. How about that? She makes some stuff like you'll never, like this is amazing. Earring. I gotta cop some. And shout out to Akua from Geechee Experience. I found her through, she was referred to me by Akua. So that's super important. I think she works on Boom Hall Plantation, like she teaches. Just beautiful. Beautiful. And when I hear her as a parent and as a woman, you know, talking about passing this down to kids, like I think like these are the voices that I would love to engage to talk about the rift between the younger artisans and the older artisans in the city. Like I might not even agree with some of the solutions. I'm just assuming. I'm just speculating. But like these are the people that if you want to talk about the conflict down there, I want you to talk to people who have literally passed this art form down to their kids and then figure out ways. Like I want to hear educators involved. I don't want to hear the angry white pizza owner. Like I don't want to hear from you. I don't want you to keep. I don't want to hear from even though the older basket weaver. I do want to hear from them, but you know what I'm saying. Like I don't want to just deal with the frustrated people. I want to talk to people with solutions and people who are in the business of talking to and making appeals to children amid some sort of circumstances. I just wanted to say that. I know we're talking about roads and whatnot, but when it comes to preserving this culture, like, let's talk about some solutions. Let's enlist the voice of people who are compassionate, who care, who understand. Like, frame it differently so that people come to when you frame an issue a certain way, people come to it a certain way, right? Right? Like when you frame it a certain way, people can come to the situation with a different mindset as opposed to good, bad, evil, angel. Like, it's important. All right, I think I'm gonna end it there because I gotta go skedaddle and get dressed and go to my orthodontist appointment. But I really had fun. Tom was my yeah, it is Brienne, right? And I'm one of them kids that's probably like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. If I had like a parent or grandparent to try to teach me, I don't want to weave baskets. I want to play my Game Boy. Yeah, it's dope. We gotta treat it. We gotta preserve it. If people want to be out, if vendors want to be out there in the market selling it where they're going to make most contact with tourists, I get it. I think there should have been like a pavilion specifically for them. I think it should have been enclosed. I think it should be comfortable, climate controlled. I think that it could look like, I think it should be down there. I struggle with how some of the older artisans are presented to the tourist public. I struggle with that because I feel like that's that old antiquated Catfish Row representation of the culture. And I don't want to impugn the integrity, nor do I want to mischaracterize or take away the dignity or autonomy of our Black artisans down there. But to me, I think that if Gullah is to thrive, we need to treat it like the rare art form that it is. Yeah. I think sometimes when we look to going to learn more about indigenous cultures, I think that's presented to us in a way where it's given certain levels of dignity and respect that I'd like to see Black, Indigenous, and Black Gullah Geechee folks given the same kind of courtesy, if that makes any sense. Not comparing it, it's just some thoughts I had. Not trying to take away anybody's agency, not autonomy, agency. But yeah. All right, y'all, I'm gonna leave it there. This was dope. Again, shout out to my B-man. All right, I really appreciate it. Hit me up with any news that you think is that I might like to read. Keep pushing our elected officials to do better. All that. All right. So I will see you tomorrow. What am I talking about tomorrow? Oh, we're gonna start calling in. So I'm gonna figure that out. Because I can't I'm not putting nothing up. There will not be a number so I can get like trolled by some damn Confederate. But I will be having call-ins. If you want to call in, yo, hit me up, email me, DM me, wherever. Hey, me, I want to call in one day. Hit me up if you want to call in. All right. I'll probably put it in the newsletter as well. It was real fun. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I don't know what I'm talking. I think I know, but I don't know. Oh, let me go. My internet is going out. Bye.